Hello, my name is Cody Krott. I'm a stand-up comic. I've always wanted to try stand-up comedy since I was like 13. But I'll do it when I get older, I said. That was my excuse. I'll do it when I get older. Here at the age of 21, people my age and younger are now doing stand-up comedy, so I can't use that excuse anymore. So I decided to try stand-up comedy. I've had the great opportunity to document my first month attempting stand-up comedy. I met some great comics on the way and they shared their stories and advice.
I wanted to do it, I needed to do it, but I was so scared to get on stage.
My first time ever doing stand-up was at Rounding Third Bar and Grill on 67th and Blue Mound. That was with Kick Me Comedy.
It was an open mic at the Bremen Cafe back in 2008. It was the first time I went up. I had been on unemployment for about 6 months.
My first time was slightly complicated, so it's a long story, but hopefully it'll be interesting.
The first time I did stand up was at a small club in Milwaukee. I was pretty nervous. I would say I was really nervous.
My first time was in Detroit. I remember being extremely nervous.
The first time I ever did stand-up was 1999. I was living in New York City, and it was an open mic bringer show in New York at the New York Comedy Club.
I can remember seeing nothing but darkness because we had these huge lights. And I remember being so unprepared for the sensation, but at the same time it was incredibly relaxing, not being able to be anyone in that audience, just the microphone.
For me, show business was the scariest thing that I could possibly go into. And so to break down my general anxiety, I basically was like, if I can just conquer the scariest things possible, then in my life I'll be okay. By my junior year, I was finally ready to do it, but I'd been trying out jokes at parties all the time and just trying out my material all the time. I was so annoying to everyone around me. And so finally my roommate signed me up for the open mic at Acme Comedy Club. There was an article in the paper about Nick Swardson leaving town, and this is his big last night, you know, in Minneapolis. And so my roommate signed me up without me knowing, and then they took me down there to watch the show, and then the list came out. There was this list with 20 comics on it, and I was on it. So I'd been preparing for 2 years, and then all of a sudden I had like an hour and a half to prepare for going on stage. Like, it really was really scary. So I had my notebook with me at all times, so I put together a set, and luckily it was only 3 minutes, and because I'd been writing for so long, I just got to take my favorite stuff and clump it into 3 minutes. And I was the second person up on stage, and the first person was super dirty and really gratuitous, and all of mine were very thoughtful and well put together. And my first joke killed. I still remember, I actually did it on TV because I wanted to make sure I did it on television once, but it was, do you guys ever drive with no pants on? I love to drive with no pants on because, like, I can never tell if people are staring at me because, like, they know, or if it's because I'm driving my moped. And it's a little bit of a long setup, you know, for being kind of a short punch at the end. But I remember during that setup, I was just like, I was just flop sweating, like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And when the punchline hit, because I'm driving my moped, it was just this roar of laughter that just like went over me. And I had like never felt love like that before in my life. And just instantly I was hooked. I had told one joke on stage and I was like, all right, I'm gonna be a stand-up comedian. This is what I'm gonna do with my life. I told a couple other jokes in my set and they went really well. And I was a minute and a half into a 3-minute set, and I got the biggest laugh of the night because I was like, how much time do I have left? And it was just so honest because I was obviously doing so well and I just didn't want to fail towards the end of my set. And then at the end, my closing joke was, can I go now?
And what, am I going third or second?
You are third.
All right.
After Josh.
I left Marquette to go to New York, to go to acting school. I went to Circle and Square Acting School. In the summer that I came to New York, I had this, I'm gonna call it a gift, where I can just ad-lib and then riff on something. The summer before I went to New York, I read 2 books. I read Woody Allen's Without Feathers and Steve Martin, Cruel Shoes. And they were a series of short stories. funny little, imagine Steve Martin short stories compared to Woody Allen's short stories, but just a book of short stories. And I walked away with that where I wanted to write a short story about a freshman in college. That summer, I started writing things in this little journal that would have been the short story. And then also I'd go to parties, and back in the day when I went to parties, people would break dance. And whenever somebody was breakdancing, you'd crowd around and watch them. Well, at these parties I went to summertime, just go to some party, and anyway, I'd meet somebody. They would say something, and I would go off on this little riff that was 30 seconds, minute and a half, 2 minutes, whatever. And people around, you had little plastic red cups, blue cups, drinking whatever crap you had. But it was funny for that moment. And at some point, I started going back home after the party and writing them in this little journal, realizing early on that they were ad-libs and I could never make them into material. Maybe I could, I don't know. I'm now enrolled in school. We have a party at somebody's house, and this woman walked in, and I had this immediate reaction to this woman. It was just, if I could lock her in a cage and keep her there forever, I would have done that. But I proceeded to dance with her for like 40 minutes straight. And then a bunch of people came in, and she said, "Hey, my brother just walked in. I haven't seen my brother all week." And I go, "No problem. My buddy from school just came in, so I'm going to say hi to my brother." So we both walk up to the same person. And it was at that time I looked at, like separately, they didn't look anything alike. But standing next to each other, I go, oh, and I kind of vaguely remembered that his sister was a stand-up comic. And so she invited me to go to this little club in New York City called Mostly Magic. And there, everyone was new. Susie Essman from Curb Your Enthusiasm, I saw her the very first time she stepped on stage. So I had my little journal that I've been working on, and I went up the first time, and the first time was okay.
All right, hey, what's up, everybody? How's it going? Hey. All right, yeah, we're gonna start in about 10 minutes. So get some more coffee, want to get beer, smoke a cigarette. 10 minutes. See you then.
For me, I had always loved stand-up. Stand-up was always something that was very prevalent in our house. My mother was a huge fan of stand-up. We would always watch Carlin. And there was no censorship in my house growing up. The time that I decided that I really wanted to do it, I remember there was if you cut off the top of Pop-Tarts and sent them in, they would send you a VHS tape, and it had like 5 or 6 comedians on it. And I remember like Stephen Wright was on it, and Paula Poundstone was on it. And I want to say Michael Keaton was on it. And I just remember watching that over and over and over again and thinking to myself, I want to do that so bad.
All right. So I'm Eric Thorson, I'll be the host, and a couple of rules: maybe silence your cell phones, don't heckle me, and we'll be good. All right?
I remember taking 3 shots of Jägermeister. Yeah, I remember being very nervous. I remember it being a short set. I remember I went over. I remember getting yelled at because I had no concept of time and you have no idea what you're doing. So the lights are just in your face and you're terrified. And I remember eating it.
I recently got a second job making like nachos and hot dogs and stuff. It's not really my dream job, but sometimes in life you have to make concessions. Thank you. That's my new favorite joke. I remember I drank a little bit too much because I was like really, really nervous. And I was like close to last because I brought a lot of people. And by the time I went up, yeah, I had a little bit too much to drink, and I noticed, like, I recorded it, and I noticed that I was actually like slurring some of my words. And so I picked up really fast that, you know, you just got to overcome those nerves. You can't drink and expect to do well. I started because my friend Ryan Holman, he's a really good friend of mine, and I knew him before comedy, but he's also a stand-up comic. And he told me he was going to this open mic, and so I tagged along, and I was like, oh, this looks like a lot of fun, looks like something I could do. So
I would say there's a lot of things that probably made me want to try stand-up. I think my mother would tell you that I have, some misplaced need for people to laugh at me. I've always been trying to make people laugh, and I didn't really know, where to put that, I guess, when I was going through my career and going through my school life. But when I found and finally saw some people that were in my locale, people in Milwaukee doing stand-up and writing jokes, it felt like something that I could do, and it felt like something that I really wanted to do. I had a friend that had done it before me, so he took the bigger leap of trying it before the two of us had, and that really helped me too, to just have somebody else take the plunge first. And I'm glad I did, but I knew at the time that I needed a place to put my energy. I remember that I did well enough. I didn't, I think even now when I'm trying out new jokes, there are jokes that I think are really funny, and I definitely had a couple of those that I thought were really funny, but the crowd didn't. Being a part of the scene in Milwaukee, getting a lot of encouragement from people. And I don't know if it was because I was funny or because they liked my charisma or they liked me. I don't know.
I was doing a lot of improv, and so and I liked watching stand-up, and I just thought it'd be a good way to do comedy on my own, without having to find a bunch of people to perform with. I watched a lot of it and I liked it, and my brother had tried it. I got about 5 minutes, and I had been practicing and writing for it for, I don't know, quite a while beforehand, because I was really excited to do it. And I thought it went really well, but they tape your set, and then like a month later they send you the tape, and I realized it was horrible. I mean, I got laughs, but they were laughing like at how bad I was, and I didn't realize that. So that was pretty brutal.
I guess the fear went away at some point, and I just decided to do it. So I decided to call in and book myself for an open mic. And I remember, what I remember most about it was just stepping up and taking my place behind that microphone for the first time. I can remember getting a lot of laughs. It was incredible. I didn't anticipate doing that well.
Gotten laid off from my job that I'd been working at pretty hard. Probably one of my final attempts at being a real person in the real world, and not doing what I was supposed to be doing. So I sat around on unemployment for the last 6 months, went to this open mic a couple of times, signed up late on purpose, or tried to ask if I could get up on purpose. It was like, because I knew they wouldn't let me up, but it was like I had to work myself up to going up because it was terrifying. Then one day I read this story about something in Australia, and I wrote something about it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go up. It was something children, Slow Children. It was run by Ryan Lowe and Mel Fleming. So I went up, and I stammered through 2.5 minutes of that joke, and people laughed. And I then stammered through the 3 minutes I had left, making up stuff as I went along, and I got a couple of head nods after I got off, and that was kind of what I needed.
He's shooting a documentary about being a stand-up comic, and he just shot a PBS special for stand-up comedy. It's his first time on stage. Just give it up, Cody Krott, everybody.
Thanks, Eric. So yeah, like Eric said, it is my first time on stage ever. So thank you. It is kind of weird though, because this is a showcase, so people actually paid money to come here. Like, normally your first time is an open mic, right? Yeah. So there's people that paid $3. So like, yo, that Cody guy sucked. I want my $3 back. So yeah, Eric hosted my show that I produced for PBS, and then I decided to shoot a documentary that was gonna document what it takes to be to start off as a stand-up, and I wasn't gonna be in it. And as a joke during a brainstorm session with all my classmates, I was like, what if I just did it? I'm like, yeah, that's good. And so here I am. So I don't want to say I'm an alcoholic, but I do like alcohol. But I do not have any money. So I always had this thought, maybe I could go to a gay bar. I'm good looking enough. 2 Fridays ago, a couple of gay friends took me to a gay bar. this place is amazing. We sat down at the table, drink after drink was bought for me. I was there for 3 hours. And there are pictures and videos that are out there that should be deleted. So, my parents, they're on vacation in South America, and I'm watching their dog for them. And you know the cliche in the movies where like the guy is dreaming that he's making out with the girl, and then he wakes up, he's actually making out with the dog. I thought that never happened. It's happened to me twice this week. I'm just dreaming, I'm making out with this girl, and then I wake up and this dog's got his tongue in my mouth. And now I'm avoiding him now, like I can't make eye contact. He's like, he'll be walking towards me down the hall, and I'll turn like, my bedroom's over there. What's up, dude? How's it going? So, yeah, so I am socially awkward. I'm not a virgin, but I might as well be, because I'm horrible at sex. And I know I'm not horrible because I've been told by a girl, you were horrible. So like, and I read Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell too. So you need 10,000 hours. I didn't have 10,000 hours of sex before I'm good at it. And at my current stamina rate, you do the math, I have to have sex 60,000 times. and I am socially awkward. So in order to even have sex with one girl one time, you need to be a pro at talking to girls, right? So that's 10,000 hours of talking to girls. I have 9,500 more to go. All right, I'm Cody Krott.
Cody Krott, everybody.
The feeling after was amazing. I felt like complete crap the whole day leading up to it. I was so nervous, but once I got that first laugh, the feeling was awesome.
I did so well, and I celebrated it that night, and then I didn't come back for another month because I was so freaked out. Like, it went well, and maybe I don't want to do that again because it went well. Maybe I don't want to fail again.
It was very supportive. Everybody was new, and to this day, I've always felt that if she had been a stand-up comic 5, 6, 7 years, and I went to a real comedy club, I might not have done it because I might have been intimidated by watching people who were professional or who knew how to do what they were doing. I wouldn't have done it.
I guess you could say it couldn't have gone better, and which was probably not a good thing.
I wanted to do it like as much as possible. It's kind of like, you know, I don't want to say what it's like, but you know, after you learn you can do it, like you want to try it as many times as possible. And I don't necessarily know if that's my philosophy now, but when I first did it, I was like, when's the next one, you know?
I remember sucking, but knowing I could do well. I remember going, okay, that sucked, and I was terrible. But if I do it a few more times, I might get better at it. Because I felt like the reason that I sucked was because the lights are in your face and people are staring at you and it's your first time dealing with all of that. And I remember thinking like that was the reason, but that wasn't the reason. My material is just garbage. Because you think you're hilarious when you first start and it's not, you're garbage.
I came back to Milwaukee and I performed at my college a lot, and I would like produce my own like 1-hour shows at, you know, the theater on campus or the bar on campus, and just basically be performing for all my, you know, friends and classmates at Marquette. So it was probably every couple months.
Yeah, so the 3 cameras you see tonight are here for me. I'm shooting a documentary about what it's like to start off as a stand-up comic. I originally pitched this as a joke, and then they said go for it. And then I said, no guys, I'm just kidding. They're like, don't be a bitch, just do it. So here I am. You know the cliche in the movies where the guy's dreaming that he's making out with this hot girl, and he wakes up and he's making out with his dog? That happened to me twice last week. I was house sitting for my parents. They were in South America for 10 days, so watching their dog, and I just woke up, tongue down my throat. Now, it's very awkward every time I see him. I'm avoiding eye contact. When I see him down the hallway, I want to turn around and walk the other way. The third day, he was waiting for me with the jar of peanut butter. I'll try anything once. So, and then my parents came home, they felt the need to show me pictures, tell me how their trip was. I was like, yeah, pretty cold here, snowed a lot, and I went all the way with your dog. So I'm from Elkhorn, Wisconsin. There's a lot of hicks there, and there's a lot of preps there at the same time. I guess I'm trying to throw. They're so stupid, we are called the Elkhorn Elks. For those of you who don't know English, elk is plural for elks, there's no S. So they let people graduate thinking elks is proper English. It's not like we're in a conference with like McWanago mooses, the Grafton gooses, the Delavan deers, the Orlando Magics. Yeah, I'm good with this. I don't really know how to segue yet. So, next joke. So I have no money, but I'm an alcoholic. Yeah. And I always had this idea, like maybe I could go to a gay bar and just get drinks bought for me all night. So last week, gay friends took me to a gay bar. This place was amazing. I sat down, got drink after drink bought for me. I was there for 3 hours. Drank way too much, and there's pictures and videos out there that need to be deleted. And I just realized a couple days ago that my girl-to-guy makeout ratio is now 4-to-1. That's a lose-lose ratio. Let's say I just kissed one guy that night. That means I only made out with 4 girls in my life. But let's say I made out with 32 girls in my life. That means I made out with 8 guys that night. There's nothing I can do with that anymore. Something more I hate more than being broke is knowing that the people that work at my bank know I'm broke, like they know exactly how much money I have to the cent. I'm a regular at my bank, all for the wrong reasons. Like, my friends and family look down on me because I have no money. I don't need these strangers looking down on me. Like, have you guys ever deposited $12.37 in change so you don't bounce a check that you mailed out 4 days ago? So yeah, like I said, I'm really bad at segues, just started this, really horrible at it. Something else I'm horrible at is sex. It took you guys a while, but you figured it out. Good job, good job. So, I know I'm horrible at sex because a girl told me once. And I feel like I can be good at sex if I got practice. And Malcolm Gladwell, he's an author, he wrote a book called Outliers. And in that book he writes about a rule. It's called the 10,000 hour rule. So if you do something for 10,000 hours, you become a pro at it. But at my current stamina rate, I have to have sex about 500 more thousand times. And just to have sex with one girl one time, you need to be a pro at talking to girls. So I get 10,000 hours of talking to girls, and I got like 9,500 more to go. Thank you guys, I'm Cody Krott.
Once again for Cody Krott. So I just spent a moment in the men's room.
I try to do the exact same thing I did the first time. didn't work. I wasn't horrible, but I didn't walk off the stage feeling like I did after the first time.
I have a theory about the first time you go on stage. I think the first time you go on stage, it's okay to good. I think it's the second time that you go on stage that you don't understand that comedy is organic, so you're trying to do exactly what you did the first time, and you can't repeat it.
And I think that's common with a lot of comics where the first time goes rarely well, and then the second time is just awful. That's what I experienced.
Before my third time, I didn't prepare like I did the first 2 times. Before the show, I was calm, laid back, and that was probably a bad thing.
I think before a show starts, ideally I'd prefer to be watching the show and enjoying it, and hopefully laughing.
I generally don't like a lot of people around who aren't comics or who know what's going on. And I had one agent who I finally told the head agent at the agency, I go, she can't be backstage anymore. And why? Because she would say things like, so you're nervous? Wow, there's a lot of people out there. And I go, you have to leave. You have to leave now.
I like to be social before a show. I like to talk to people because a lot of times as comedians, we're traveling all day, so we get on a plane and we don't really talk to the guy next to us, or maybe we do, you know, but even then it's a limited conversation. Then you're in a car driving there and you kind of talk to yourself, you know, you talk to the windshield, maybe somebody calls you or you can get a hold of a friend. And then you go to your hotel and you get ready and you don't talk to anyone. And then the first person that you talk to is 600 people or 1,000 people. So you're basically this under-socialized animal that never gets to interact with people. And then the only time you interact with people is a crowd of people.
I'm pretty social and talking to people. I don't really have any pre-show rituals. I mean, sometimes I'll kind of find short times to look over my set list and make sure I'm prepared and know exactly the material that I want to do.
If there's a bar to walk around, I'll go around and around and around it. There was one place where it was in a hotel, and I walked all throughout the entire hotel in the 20 minutes before I went up. So I will pace and move around and jump around and get myself loose.
I usually just pound coffee. I drink a lot of coffee and caffeine, and just kind of, I know it sounds counteractive to drink coffee and relax, but somehow that's what I do. I kind of zone out, and then my head's kind of just, it's like revving like an engine, you know what I mean?
It's weird though, as a comic too, so many times you have to get to a place together. You know, you'll have 4 comics in a car driving somewhere, and maybe they all feel differently about how they should be before a show. You know, one person will be reading their notes, the other person will be cracking jokes. So, you know, you kind of just have to roll with the situation. And for me, like, being light and being fun and cracking jokes is usually the way I go.
And before I could even have sex with one girl one time, I have to go and talk to 2 girls. And that doesn't work either, because I have about 9,500 more hours to go. So on top of that being thrown at me, I'm still in college, haven't dropped out yet, so that's pretty cool. I failed a test like an hour ago, and I need to pass that class to graduate. And like, I'm new at this stand-up thing, like I just decided to do it like a month ago. Before, like I'm taking this artist thing seriously, because before I decided to do this, my life was great, doing well in school. Become comic, life sucks. That wasn't funny. So I am in my last semester of college. I'm so close. Like I have that same just f*** it attitude that I had in my senior year of high school. And I need to get through this. I need to make it, because just having a high school diploma doesn't get you much anymore. Especially the high school that I went to. I went to high school in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, where our mascot's name is the Elks. The Elks is in proper English. Elk is plural for elk, for those of you that don't know. So they let people graduate thinking that's proper English. Do we need to fire some English teachers or 2? So being a college student means that I have no money. I'm pretty broke. I just got a haircut today. Yesterday, thanks for that. Yesterday, I walked in to school and I said good morning to a classmate, and then, without hesitation, he says, "You look like a broken condom." And I'm like, okay. And he's like, "If I give you money, will you get a haircut?" So he gave me $30. So this is a $10 haircut. I used 20 of the $30 on pizza and beer. So, and I also found, like, being broke, I found out that I'm an alcoholic because I had this brilliant idea. I have no money, I need alcohol, so I'll just go to a gay bar. This place was awesome! I was there for 3 hours. Drink after drink was bought for me. Didn't spend a single penny. Had way too much fun, and pictures and video need to be deleted. Yeah, so yeah, I'm not feeling it, so we'll end it on that. I'm Cody Krott.
I had new material, I had it written down, I read it, I just couldn't say it. I don't know what it was. I don't think I did that bad, but I mean, at the time, I felt so horrible, like it was really bad, to the point where at that point in time, I didn't want to do stand-up anymore. I probably would have stopped for a while if it wasn't for this documentary.
And the guy had like a headset microphone on, and so he finished doing his thing, which like was balloons and popping balloons with your butts, all these dumb games. And he's like, "Here's comedian Johnny Beaner." And he hands me his headphone, and I'm telling jokes while I'm trying to figure out how it goes on. I couldn't even figure out how it goes on. I'm doing my jokes. These kids do not want to hear what I'm talking about. And at one point in the middle of my set, there was like a Gatorade bottle on the ground, and I stepped on it and slipped and fell. And it wasn't even funny, it was just embarrassing. Like that, it was just horrible.
I was like, go start my car, I was saying all of this from stage, like everybody, because I'm getting out of here immediately. So she goes to hug a bottle at me, she doesn't, they stop her, somebody drags her out. Things are still crazy. I don't know who, some people are yelling at me, some people aren't, some people are laughing, some people are applauding. But still, I'm in this like Sons of Anarchy, biker rally, just a wasp's nest of angry bikers. And I just remember getting off stage, and as soon as I walk off stage, there's just a knife in my face. And I just sidestepped it and just ran around the guy and then out the back door. And what I later learned was the guy who put the knife in my face wasn't threatening me. He said, "Here, you might need this."
I'm on the basketball court floor, and I'm telling jokes, and it's going really well. And I was like, how is this going well, right? And then I say the word redneck, and this is like before blue collar comedy had made redneck really cool. Well, this kid stands up, and they had given them door prizes with jacks and super balls. And he takes the jacks and super balls, and he's like, "Who you calling redneck?" And he just starts winging them at me. Everybody else gets the same idea. They're throwing jacks and super balls at me. It's like a hailstorm of this stuff. And then it's like they're hitting me and then bouncing, and it's like comically, like I'm getting, it's horrible, right? So the principal takes away the mic from my hand, and she goes, "Children," if you're a senior in high school, you don't want to be college. "Children, children, if you do not stop throwing your door prizes at the comedian," she goes, "you will be expelled from school and you won't graduate. You will not walk in the ceremony tomorrow," or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God. So then I do the rest of my show silent, like they hate me, right? I have to do like 15 more minutes.
The most recent one, I did my first urban club. I would say that with quotes, I would say. Like the first all black club, all African American people. And you can tell how not nervous I am about even saying that. But it was the first time that I had done a room like that. And I was nervous. I was definitely nervous. And there was a DJ that was playing all the comedians on, and they were all really comfortable. They were a part of that scene. And I was excited, and I've been doing it long enough where where I, felt like I was pretty cool on stage. I could do what I needed to do. So this DJ was playing rap music as people walked out on stage, and they were hitting the crowd hard, like really loud and really big. And then they announced my name to come out, and no music played as I walked across the stage. And then I just, instead of, rejoicing with the crowd and being happy, I was just like, well, I'm gonna tell you some jokes now. And it was probably the most people pulling out their cell phones at one time that I've ever seen anywhere.
I get up there, and the opening is rough. They're kind of into it, but not really. They're taking things the wrong way. There's a guy that keeps talking to the left. It's already going terribly, but I think that if I just keep going and I get this guy to stop, then everything will be all right. So I stop in the middle of a joke, and I say, hey man, shut the up, please, for the love of God. And I completely misinterpreted the audience's loyalty to me and to him, because I thought that they would be on my side. Instead, what they did was get mad at me for talking mean to him and start booing and hissing everything that I did for 10 to 15 minutes. And no matter what I said, they took it the wrong way on purpose and would like throw it back at me and mock me. And at that point, I lost control of the room, and I basically whimpered off stage like a broken puppy.
Comedy is a great community to be a part of. Eric, Ryan, Jason have been great to me since the day I met them, and they continue to be good to me and help me out whenever I need it.
I was working with Louis Black from The Daily Show. He was newly famous, and he was just blowing up all over the place. And so I got to meet like one of my comedy idols and like icons and work with him. And that was, I'm still friends with him to this day. I run into him in New York City, and I'm like, you helped me out when I knew nothing about comedy.
The guy who was really influential to me was John Mendoza. And I had for years, you could see me on stage and you go, oh, this is a Cosby guy. But I mean, I was literally, it so much sounded like Cosby, just everything was just Cosby. And I realized though that I was a storyteller. So it was that Cosby, Richard Pryor kind of a feel, but it was very clean. But I remember one day I got off stage and John Mendoza came to me and he goes, hey, yeah, when you do those stories that you're upstairs, he said, you need to get to the punchline. And I went, yeah, but when Cosby tells these stories, man, they're really great and they're long and they're weaving. And he goes, yeah, but Cosby stories are funny.
Damon Millard helped me out a lot. He was a comedian locally in the scene here in Milwaukee that was running a group called the Cast of Killers. I am now a part of that group, but he was the first person to really say like, yeah, work a little bit harder. Because so many people are encouraging to you. He was the first one to kind of say like, we're the varsity team, you're JV, and you got to work a little bit harder to get there.
I got lucky in the way that I was working really hard, and I was going up every night, and there was a headliner who actually worked at the club who was seeing me progress and get better and put the work in, and he asked me to come on the road with him to Canada, and then I went over there and did some shows and got paid and met the club owners, and then they liked me, and then they started booking me, and then he brought me to a few other places and introduced me to a few other people. And they liked me and started booking me, so it all kind of snowballed after that because I was already working for these clubs. And then you build up your resume and you take that to different bookers and whatnot and say, I've worked this club, I've worked this club, so things just kind of progress from there. So I mean, I got lucky in that regard, and I still do. There's still guys working clubs that I want to work, and I'll check their website and be like, oh, so-and-so's working that club. I'm friends with him. I'm going to have him put in a recommendation for me. And I mean, this business is a lot about just networking and knowing people and having people vouch for you and the club trusting the recommendation and things like that.
Ryan Holman, for sure. And Jason Hillman and Damon Millard, Cast of Killers. I'm in the Cast of Killers now, and yeah, Jason and Damon were at Rounding Third, and they were like, we do these other open mics, you should come and check these out.
When I was starting out, comedian Greg Hahn helped me out immensely. When I was doing shows at Marquette, I would tape them, and then he came and was doing the show at the Comedy Cafe, and I went and saw him. He didn't know who I was, But I talked to him, told him I wanted to be a comedian, gave him a tape of one of my hour-long shows that was terrible, but you know, it was in front of my friends. And he actually watched it, and he, you know, kept in touch, you know, he was feeding my ego. He's like, oh, you're really funny, you gotta keep writing, and you know, once you get in front of strangers, it'll be a lot different. And then he brought me on my first road gig down to Indianapolis and brought me with.
So my 4th time going up, I invited tons of people. I wanted to show them what I was up to, and I wanted to prove to them that I could do this.
I'm not going to stand up here.
Cody Krott.
Thanks, Gary.
I love you.
Love you too. High school all over again. I'm not going to stand up here and say I'm better than you guys, because I'm not drinking alcohol, you guys are. I envy people that can have 3 beers and not get drunk. I wish I could have 1 beer and just stop. I wish, as a straight man, I can go to a gay bar and not take my shirt off and dance. And the thing is, I would get blackout drunk every night, and my friends would take complete advantage of that, and I can't defend myself because I can't remember what happened. So they tell me the next day, Cody, for an hour and a half, you wouldn't talk to anyone. You were too busy watching Kindergarten Cop on your cell phone. And then when that was finished, you were running around the bar for an hour yelling, boys have penises, girls have vaginas. And I do like sex, and it's not even because it feels good. Like, sex to me is like Christmas. It happens once a year. There's months and months of build-up, and then when it happens, there's that, it feels good, but there's that little feeling of disappointment. Well, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you.
Keep it going for Cody Krott. Also keep it going for this next comic coming to the stage, ladies and gentlemen.
I just want to say to anyone out there that wants to try stand-up but hasn't done it yet, you have to try it. The feeling is amazing. People will be understanding. No one's going to be mean to you. Don't be afraid. Just get up there and you'll feel great.
I would say just don't put too much pressure on yourself about it. Write and do the work and figure out what it is you want to say. You know, take that part serious. But if you don't know it by the time you hit the stage, then it's not ready yet. You know, you're gonna get flustered and you're gonna fail, and that's the whole. Where's my book? Look, I wrote this. This is the front page of my book. This is the front page of my book right now. Fail. Just fail. Don't be afraid to fail. I know that sounds lame, and it probably looks lame, and I wrote it all comic booky and stuff, but there's a reason that's in there. It's because you have to try everything. If you think something's funny and you've done the work and written it out and you're excited about it, try it. If you fail, who cares? We're just telling jokes. We're not curing cancer.
Stay away from drugs. That's about it. Drugs don't help your creative process, so I would say avoid drugs and you'll do great in this business.
If you don't tell yourself you're going to do it and like force yourself to do it, you're never going to do it. And the only way you're going to do it is if you do it.
It's kind of, you know, it's kind of like riding a bike where you can't, I mean, there isn't really any way to learn other than just doing it. I mean, talking to comics, hanging out at comedy clubs, watching comedy is really all I can say other than just doing it, but there's nothing, you're not going to learn any faster than by just doing it, you know.
Get off your ass and do it. Just do it. Don't talk about it. Don't like, well, you know, I was thinking about it. You got to do it more than anything else, because you got to bite that bullet the first time, the second time.
It's like trying like Indian food. That's what it seems like to me. If somebody's like, you know, what would you say to somebody who wants to try Indian food? I would just be like, well, try Indian food then, you know? Like, it's not a huge deal to get up there the first time, especially after you've tried it. And then you can say like, I hate Indian food now. So, I mean, or you could really like it. Just do it, you know? You'll never know until you try. You know, if it's something that you think you're gonna do, or that you think you'd like doing, or even you've fantasized about it, or you've been to an open mic and you're like, these guys weren't funny, I could do this, you know, then I would say definitely go for it. Write some jokes and get out there.
Your next comic is recording his set with all this fancy stuff, so they want to get ready. I don't know if they're already ready or not. They're ready? You ready? Get up for Cody Krott!
Keep it going for Steve. He's doing a good job today. I got some great news today, guys. My friend's wife is pregnant. Bad news is it might be mine. Worst news is I'm not joking. I'm not. I'm serious. So I'm always in my head thinking of scenarios, and it always comes at the most inopportune time, like before I fall asleep. So like, I guess it's because I'm insecure about myself. Like if there's people laughing and I'm not involved in that conversation, I just think they're laughing about me. But like one scenario that I always play in my head is like, if I'm talking to a cute girl at the bar and a midget comes up and makes fun of me, how will I deal with that? Another scenario that I think about a lot, it's not really a scenario, but like, do I look fat? Like, okay. The reason I ask though is because every time I see someone I went to high school with, they're always fatter, and I laugh, and then I think, wait a minute, am I getting fatter? And I'm still in school. I'm doing last semester. I'm taking an online class, and there's a lot of girls in that class. Are they hot? I'll never know. Or are they all guys, and I'm just being catfished? But like the thing that bothers me the most, that I just think about constantly, is like extremely good-looking guys dating average-looking girls. It's like the new black man dating white women phenomenon. Like I can get a 6, I can date a 6, but I can't date a 6 who just dated a 9 or a 10. Like, my ex-boyfriend was a supermodel. Why'd I date you? Well, he had low self-esteem, he's actually gay, and you were just his beard. So pick you up at 6? So I go to pick the 6 up at 6, and it's 5:30, I call her, I pick to let her know I'm on my way, and she forgot about the date, and I know this because she told me. And she said she also wished I had forgotten about the date, so we're off to a good start, right? So 30 minutes later, I'm at her house. She's outside waiting for me, all ready to go. She obviously does not want me inside her house. I know some of you are like, full go get ready in 30 minutes. Well, she's a 6. There's nothing much you can do, really.
That doesn't help. That doesn't help. That doesn't. Your mic's off. Mic's off. Mic's off. Bottom. Press. Did it die? Was this the
No, I'm just an idiot.
Two fingers.
Yeah, I lost my spot. All right, so we get in my car, and I asked her where she wants to go, and she's like, wherever you want, which is exactly what I wanted to hear because I only had $25. So we're at Taco Bell. She orders her stuff, I order my stuff, $9. So far, so good. So we talk about whatever you talk about on your first date, and then we go to the movies. We go to see Django Unchained. Now I heard it's a good movie, but I wouldn't know because there was a special girl there in the audience that would not shut up. And I don't mean special like she was cute, she had an aura about her. I mean like pigeon-toed, like twitching special. Like, why are they swearing? Why do they keep saying the N-word? So the movie's over. We're equally pissed that we didn't really get to watch the movie and enjoy it. So then we go on a long walk, we talk, I thought we connected. And then I go to take her home, and I asked her if we could go out again, and she says, no, like I said, I only date supermodels. And I just realized now that that's how that joke ends. That wasn't funny, so we'll work on that. I'm Cody Krott.
Doing this helped me in so many ways, so many obvious ways, like I no longer have stage fright, I'm more sociable, I have real friendships now. But it's also helped me out in other ways that go deeper than that. Before this, I had no self-confidence. I let what people would say about me bother me. I would listen to these people and care too much about what they thought of me. It sucked because I started believing what they said about me. So their perception became my own perception. My own self-perception became more harsh than any other perception others had of me. Now I'm me. Those people don't matter. I don't hold anything back, and I've never been happier. If you could take away one thing from my story, it's to get to the point that I'm at right now. It doesn't have to be stand-up comedy, it can be anything. Just make a change for the better. Do that one thing you've always wanted to do, but you've been worried about it. I hope this documentary gives me a platform to do something bigger, not as a stand-up comedian, but as a person in general.
Just go out, have fun. Like you're doing comedy, and that's the thing. You don't have to rely on a paycheck right now. So go out and have fun with it, because in that you're gonna find out who you are, and you're gonna learn a lot about who you are real quick, because an audience will strip you down and humble you fast if you're not good at this.
Don't give up, you know, like it's really easy to be discouraged. You know, you spend a lot of time writing your jokes and preparing them, so sometimes it's easy to take it really hard if they bomb or if they fail or if nobody likes them because you worked so hard on them.
You could figure it out. Because I always say it takes you about 5 years as a comic to figure out who you are. And to me, that means you could, at 5 years, you could write a joke that was really funny and you knew the joke wouldn't work for you. You know, that's when you start, when you're no longer trying to be funny, when you know specifically what you want to say. And that's when you get your voice. 4 years, 5 years in there.
Don't listen to anyone ever. You know, I think the real person you need to pay attention to is yourself. And, you know, whatever support you can get to go up on stage and to be funny, to make other people laugh, like that's your gift and that's what you should do. So it doesn't matter who you are.
Keep writing and keep writing, because the more you write, you know, not only the more material you'll have, but the quicker your mind will get at just getting into that mode of coming up with funny stuff, and it'll get easier.
You're going to have some highs, you're going to have some lows, the true test of a person's worth, I think, in this particular business is time. That's the true judge. So yeah, be patient.
Oh, Cody, I can't wait to see what you do when you're not concerned about making a movie about it. When you're not concerned, when you just want to do stand-up. I think that my advice to you is to just be really, really honest, regardless of whether you're doing it for something, for a project or not. Pretend like you're not filming it. Pretend like you're just doing it because it's all you got. And then, you know, stop pretending that it's all you got. Make it all you got. Make it everything you need. It's the only way to really get into it. It's a really difficult relationship, comedy. It's a difficult relationship to have because it's not always pleasing. It's not always satisfying. It's not always going to give you what you need, but you keep crawling back to it for that one time when it smiles at you the right way, says the right thing to you in the middle of the night. That's comedy at its best.